aside from the fact that I'm still alive. None of this surprises me.
Okay, if you've been looking forward to shooting up the new Call of Duty Black Ops 2, we're going to tell you when it's available. That you were just looking at was the trailer for the new game. Welcome to Digits. I'm Simon Constable. Let's go straight off to San Francisco, where our gaming expert, Dan Gallagher, is standing by. Dan, it looks pretty raw. Looks pretty exciting, that game. What do you think?
Well, it's probably going to be the biggest title again of the year, or at least one of for the whole game industry. It's the last few Call of Duty titles have ended up ranking at top the entire industry. There's a thought this one will again. Of course, it's the 9th iteration in the series, so there's some analysts wondering if there's starting to be some title fatigue setting in. But so far, expectations for this game are pretty strong. Okay, and it's going to be released on November the 13th, so they're really getting ahead of the curve here by releasing this trailer now. They are, and that's not terribly uncommon. You know, they've broadcast before that everybody expected there would be a new Call of Duty this year. They've been doing it every year, but today's the first day that we know that it's going to be a sequel to the Black Ops, which was the version from 2 years ago, and get a sense of when it's actually coming out.
So this game looks pretty violent. Is it going to be any more violent than the previous games in the franchise, or is it going to be on a par with that? And what sort of rating will it get?
I'm sure it'll be an M-rated title like the previous versions. You know, that seems to be the sweet spot for these sorts of combat shooters. In terms of how, the specific content in this will rank to the others, it's really hard to say until we actually get the title out there. The previews tend to focus on some of the big scenes, but you really don't know until you actually play the game.
And will you be getting this one, do you think? I know you like to play games, but these can be rather expensive, can't they?
They get there, and I think what a lot of gamers will have to choose from this year is there's going to be sort of a crowded pipeline in the fall of shooters. Interesting, this one comes out just a week after Halo 4, which is a very popular shooter. Of course, that's exclusive for the Xbox 360. There's also expected to be possibly another Metal Gear for the PlayStation 3 this fall. Possibly a Medal of Honor release from EA in the fall. So there's going to be people that are the gamers that like to play the combat shooters will have a lot of choices, but a lot of them will likely continue to gravitate towards Call of Duty.
Yeah, now this is a hit-driven business like the movie business, and some of the budgets are getting up there near movies. How important is it that Call of Duty does well for the manufacturer?
It's very important for Activision because it's one of their key franchises that they're built on right now. And Activision is a publisher that really focuses on certain key franchises and doesn't have a huge slate of other titles. So it's important for them that this does well, and it likely will continue to do well. Of course, for investors, they like to know what's next, what's the next thing. Some investors are getting concerned if Activision relies too much on Call of Duty, which, like I said, this will be the 9th year of the franchise, the 9th iteration. So there'll still be some questions about what's the company building up in addition to this, but it's very likely to be a big contributor of profits for them this year.
Now, this is a game you buy in a packet in a store. What about digital downloads of this? Is that going to be an issue with maybe sort of fraudulent taking of the game?
It's a factor in terms of tracking how well the game does in terms of its success, because as we're seeing, more video game action is going into digital channels, and so it's now possible to actually download full versions of games like Call of Duty and Battlefield. And so when you see, retail sales from NPD, it doesn't always capture how well the game does overall because it doesn't capture those digital channels. And Activision built up an entire digital channel for Call of Duty. It's called Call of Duty Elite. So we'll likely see more action go over that channel than we have in years past. And how that tracks in terms of how the investors react to that is hard to say until the company actually makes their reports.